No one cared about your league before Caitlin Clark. There were no opposing fans. You barely had home fans. And so no one cared. A couple 300,000 people were watching your games before Caitlin Clark. Playoff.
The WNBA is currently in a total downward spiral. The recently published playoff ratings have turned out to be an absolute disaster, and believe it or not, the decline began the very moment Caitlin Clark was no longer in the picture.
There are very, very few people, but there are some out there who resent the fact that this young white girl came out there and did her thing. Rookie of the Year, 4th in the league for MVP voting, assist leader, one of the top leading scorers after the Olympic Games. She put on a show, validating all the attention she was receiving. A rising tide lifts all boats.
You wouldn't believe just how far the ratings have fallen since Caitlin Clark's fans began boycotting the WNBA. And honestly, this outcome felt inevitable considering the way the league handled Caitlin Clark.
They're down. We knew they would be down. They're going to continue to go down 50% compared to what it was like with Caitlin Clark for the 2 games that she was in the postseason. Caitlin Clark's final WNBA playoff game, 2.5 million viewers. And then the best game since she's been eliminated, 929,000 viewers.
It's hard to believe. The viewership dropped from 2.5 million down to just 900,000. The television ratings have collapsed, and once Caitlin Clark and her team were knocked out of the playoffs, audiences completely switched off. Now, it seems like there's barely any interest left in watching women's basketball.
Defending champions on the floor drew an audience of 929,000, according to ESPN. That is 50% less than the Fever's Game 1 against the Sun, and even less than the Fever's Game 2 against the Sun.
This isn't merely a slight decline. It's a full-blown. Fans have stopped tuning in, arenas are sitting nearly empty, and the signal couldn't be more obvious. The Caitlin Clark effect is undeniable, and in her absence, the WNBA is struggling just to stay afloat.
It's not just the sport, it's the entertainment of the sport, and you need to protect your superstars. And the WNBA has not done well this entire season of protecting their one superstar who brought in more eyeballs than anyone else has ever done.
Many players couldn't stand seeing Caitlin Clark dominate on the court, but now that she's out, they're facing a harsh truth. The WNBA just doesn't draw attention without Caitlin Clark. Fans aren't interested in watching anyone else.
So he walks through, like, there was a Nike ad for Iowa Caitlin, though it wasn't exactly pushed on the public. There has been no Nike commercial for Clark as a pro. Let that sink in.
And let's not forget, right from the start of the WNBA season, controversy was already bubbling. The referees weren't awarding Caitlin Clark the calls she rightfully deserved, and it felt like she was taking hit after hit with virtually no protection on the court.
Let's stay here. Let's just say the ratings aren't the same with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever now eliminated. That was down nearly 50% from last Sunday's Fever Sun contest. By the way, not only was viewership down, but attendance was as well. Do you want me to just say I told you so, or are you willing to say, Stephen A., you did tell us?
Opponents were literally celebrating every time they took her down on the court, and off the court, jealous veterans were constantly talking her down. This wasn't just poor officiating, it was a total mishandling of the brightest star in women's basketball. The WNBA completely dropped the ball here. From the moment Caitlin Clark stepped onto the court, she was disrespected by both the referees and the league itself. And who could forget that infamous eye poke incident?
Scratches Caitlin's eye with her long fingernails. She denies it was intentional, but watch, there it is. Hold on. So she goes for the ball, and then look, she points her hand down after the play, after the ball is passed.
No call, no foul. The referees just let it go. It's been one controversy after another, and the league did nothing to shield her. Now, we're seeing the fallout. Imagine the WNBA trying to compete with the NFL in viewership. That was only ever possible because of Caitlin Clark. Now that she's gone, the league can only dream of those numbers.
Well, it appears that Caitlin Clark fans have listened. Last night, I received the ratings for the first round of games for the Chase for the Golden Toilet. Darkness is coming. The spotlight is rapidly fading.
And this isn't just about ratings or ticket sales. The WNBA is now facing a far bigger threat that could impact the future of the entire franchise. It's clear the league failed to secure the new audience that came with Caitlin Clark. On top of that, they've ignored ongoing backlash from fans and analysts regarding player safety regulations.
The refs should also be aware that the most eyeballs at any given moment are going to be on Caitlin Clark. So call it a special whistle, call it whatever you need it to be. If you don't want to have constant viral videos of other WNBA players fouling Caitlin and the internet being in an uproar, saying that players are doing this on purpose.
Caitlin Clark isn't just any player, she's a movement. She's the face of the WNBA. Not only is she the best player on the court, but her popularity is also through the roof. Forget TV ratings. Caitlin Clark is dominating merchandise sales too. Her jerseys were topping the charts, outperforming every other player in the league.
Sales of WNBA merchandise are up over 500% versus the same period last year. The top-selling WNBA player merch, Caitlin Clark, #1 in jersey sales, Angel Reese 2, Sabrina 3.
Everyone wants to ride the Caitlin Clark wave, but the WNBA couldn't maintain that momentum. Now they're facing a massive challenge. How do you keep fans engaged without Caitlin Clark on the court? Let's be real. She's the reason so many people even started watching the WNBA, and now that she's out, their interest has completely vanished.
But this is where it gets even more interesting. They can't put butts in the seats now, and it is hilarious. Not only was the viewership down, but the attendance was as well. The Sun matchup drew 8,500 fans. That's fewer than 50% of the total capacity of Target Center in Minneapolis. By the way, Caitlin Clark sold that joker out twice.
Looking at the league's future, things don't look promising. Caitlin Clark is now on a 200-day break in Europe and won't be returning to the spotlight the WNBA once enjoyed. What makes it worse? European leagues are more than happy to welcome her with open arms, offering a much higher salary and the respect she truly deserves.
WNBA ratings are embarrassing without Caitlin Clark. 0 games have sold out in the playoffs. Outside of Caitlin Clark, there was not a single game that eclipsed 500,000 viewers. Hell, they weren't even close to doing that. Once she is eliminated, will we see another game in the WNBA playoffs eclipse 1 million viewers? I say no.
Caitlin Clark transformed the WNBA, drawing record ratings, merchandise sales, and fan attention. Yet the league mishandled her, ignoring safety concerns and letting opponents target her on the court. Even her Rookie of the Year recognition was botched, and the commissioner downplayed her impact. Fans are now boycotting, TV ratings have plummeted, and Nike hasn't promoted her properly. Without Caitlin, the WNBA is struggling to stay relevant, exposing jealous veterans and a failing league structure. Her absence shows the league relied too heavily on one generational talent. Now the WNBA faces a dangerous future if it can't regain the audience she brought.